Okay, so now I'm going to start assembly of one of the racks. And I'm putting my first shelf upside down, so this will be the top shelf. So I can see it's flat and smooth here where a tub will go across it, and that's what I want. Now my rails I'm using are different sizes for each rack. I cut all the rails for one rack the same size. So for this rail, my rail is 34, my frame is 37. So I have an 1.5 inch in that I'm putting that, and that'll be fine. This will hold the tubs up. But I wanted to put it on here just to see where my legs are going to go, because the rail will have to screw into the leg, and I didn't want to miss where the leg would be. So if my rail was too short, then I wouldn't be able to screw it in. So basically I've determined that for this I'm going to go in 3 inches, and that'll be enough to give enough meat for the rails to screw into. So all I did on this is I lined up the first leg. I put 2 brad nails in here. I drilled 2 just to hold it temporarily, make sure it was square. And then I drilled 2 holes and put in 2 screws here to hold it. So I'm going to continue on that and do the next leg. Make sure I got my 3 inches in. Look straight. Check to make sure my leg's level, which it is. Drew my screw holes in here. I'll put my 2 screws in here. And there we go. There's the legs. Now these will be a little bit wobbly until you get more shelves and more rails in there, and then it will become sturdier. So I'm going to finish putting the other 2 legs on, and then we'll add the first tub. Okay, what I've done here is I put one of my tubs on. Now remember, I don't want the tub sliding in and out against there because there are screws on the rail that could rip the screen. So I put this yardstick for me in here. It's about 1/4 inch thick, just as a spacer. And then I put the rail on top of here and pushed it down. So the tub, once it's reverted up the other way, will ride on that rail. And you want to make sure that the tub is on there and tight on there. So all I did was put a brad nail where it is. I put a level on there to make sure it was level. Also checked my table to make sure it was level, and they're about the same. So I'll go ahead and I'll screw this rail in, and then I'll flip the stand around so I can do the other side. Okay, now that I got the first shelf and the first set of rails on, the next step is to add the next shelf. Now, in my design, I wanted the next shelf from the top of this shelf, because it's upside down, to the top of the next shelf to be 21.5. So I've marked on here 21.5 inches on all the corners. And I put a clamp, not exactly where it needs to be, just to hold the shelf so that I can square it up and get it in there once I have done that. So to do this next shelf, I found it helpful to add some long clamps on the top to pull the shelf together. So that way when you're screwing in here, it's not going to drop on you. But once you have one side screwed in approximately where you want it, put a level on it to get to the other side. And then once we go to do the other side, we can switch the level around to make sure it's level the other way as well. Okay, I didn't feel myself putting it on the bottom shelf or the wheels, but here you go. That's the first view of it. Got a little bit of a space in between here, which is good, because that way these screws won't rub on there and there's no way for them to get out through that big of a gap. Same with the others. So looking good. I can walk up, I can see in the top without opening it. I can see in the bottom without pulling it out all the way. The 10-inch dome lights that I got fit perfectly. So there's plenty of space there. Can get them in and out. The LED or UVB bulbs I have are flat. So I'll sit on here perfectly fine. So there we go. Eventually going to put this in the corner over there, but I got to clean all that out. Once I clean all these out and give these guys a new home. All right, Rosemary. You can say hi, Rosemary.